Okay. Hello, Matt. Welcome to University Challenged.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for this.
And thanks for agreeing to come on. So something I asked all guests is for the listeners today and for the listeners to come. Can you please share your name and what it is you do today?
My name is Matt Skelton, or Matthew James Skelton, if I'm being official, or my mum's talking to me. And I'm currently a finance director for a small group of IT and telecoms companies.
Brilliant. And you are our very first finance director. So I was excited when you popped up on LinkedIn. I was like, yes.
Right. Oh, no pressure.
So you're finance director today. Let's go back in time to when you were at secondary school. What was your experience of secondary school?
Really mixed. It was, I didn't particularly enjoy primary. So when I got to secondary, I remember the first day is all my the schoolmates that I'd had at primary were all put into different classes. So that's like day one, you're on your own. Even though you're on your own. Made some good friends and got through to the sort of GCSE stages. Fair enough. Hobbies, I love playing golf and video games, funny enough, being the 80s.
Yeah.
And then kind of struggled as to, well, what am I going to choose?
Yeah.
And a great deal of guidance within the family, but not particularly academic.
Mm-hmm.
My brother's more academic than me. So I was stuck as to what to choose, but I did read a lot.
Yeah.
Not particularly high quality, but I read a lot and I watched a lot of telly.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of All Creatures Great and Small.
Yeah. Who wasn't?
Yeah, loved it. Loved animals. I thought, yeah, right, be a vet. So I took sciences, triple science in my GCSEs. Sorry, O levels. So I'm getting confused because the kids do GCSEs now. So
Yeah.
it was the last year of O levels.
Yeah.
And did my sciences along with several other ones, and was okay with maths and English.
Yeah.
And then looked into veterinary surgery a bit deeper and thought, I can't do that. That's going to be years and years and years, and I hadn't researched it properly. So around this time, as I'm finishing my O levels, I looked onto another program. This sounds really silly. Trading Places.
Yes.
And
Excellent.
another classic. My mum, on my mother's side, there was a member of the family that was a stockbroker. And I got obsessed with it. I got obsessed with the markets because we're now in that big era in the mid 80s where things were just lifting off.
Yeah.
Money and God knows what else. And I thought, right, change of tack. I'm going to leave school at 16 and get a job in the stock exchange as on the trading floor. So
and out of interest, whereabouts in the country did you grow up?
Oh, in South Hertfordshire, Southwest Herts, so around the kind of Watford area, but Rickmansworth, which is really nice. So we could get into London quite easily. So I thought, yeah, it's me.
Yeah, and I remember that time because there was, like you say, there was loads of money and people were making a fortune in the city, and they were saying, "Come be a trader. You don't need to have gone to uni."
Yeah.
Okay, so you were going to go to a trading floor, which the thought of that terrifies me.
Oh yeah, so I dragged mum into town. Got a terrible brown suit from BHS, and then the next thing was we're hurtling up the stock exchange in their incredibly fast lift. And I spoke to the careers guy, and he just leant across the table and he goes, "Go back to school, young man. It's not now. You're not ready." So that was a quick trip to London. I came back and thought, well, I'd better pick some A levels and fast.
Yeah.
Time was getting on. So I thought, well, now I like this avenue. I'm going to do politics, economics, and maths.
Yeah.
Completely different tack. And I contacted a few people in the Financial Futures Exchange, or LIFE, which is, again, City of London, to trade in commodities.
Yeah.
Hooked up with who was then Morgan Grenfell.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, right, you do those A levels, we'll get you on a contract, come up to London, have a day on the floor, see how you like it. And it was amazing. And I was just absolutely hooked. So I thought, right, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. Leave after my A levels.
Yeah.
Go trading in commodities. And of course, it was the Black Monday in kind of 87. And in about 88, Morgan Grenfell finally said, can't do it anymore. Costs were getting too high. And I got the phone call in the summer after my A levels, getting ready to join, say, sorry, mate, it's off.
Right.
And that was hard to take.
Yeah.
So I don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Everyone had said, yeah, well, you should go to uni.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I got an A in my economics, so an economics degree
Wow.
made
Yeah.
perfect sense. I was predicted a lot lower than that, but
Mm.
as many people might know, economics is a jigsaw, and it wasn't until the very last minute that they kind of all slotted together.
Ah.
I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I had some regrets. My friends were going off to uni, and I had friends that were working for a living, and I thought, what do I do?
Mm.
And I was in my dad's shop. He had a shop since the early 70s dealing with white goods like hoovers and washing
Yeah.
machines. And my cousin and I used to repair and run the shop on weekends. And I thought, I don't know what to do, Dad. I'm stuck.
Mm.
And his accountant was in the back room, surrounded by hoovers doing their books.
Yeah.
Popped his head around and said, why don't you do accounting? And I sort of just, what? Kind of laughed at him a bit. And
Yeah.
he said, no, seriously. He said, if it's all going wrong, he says, you're good at maths and things. Why don't you come to my office and have a look around?
Yeah.
And I had nothing else lined up. So I said, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
I found myself in an old accountant's kind of office, lots of boxes everywhere, lots of paper.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I could do the job. I don't know whether I'd really like it yet.
Yeah.
What else should I do? Let's apply my skills to something I think I can do.
Yeah.
So next step, careers fair, walking
Yeah.
around, met the managing partner of a local firm of accountants in Watford.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, what have you got? So I've laid out my very brief CV. He goes, okay. So normally we're taking on graduates, but there is a non-graduate path.
Yeah.
It's a 4-year training contract rather than 3.
Yeah.
And you need to get yourself a certificate at the local uni, which was then a polytechnic.
Yeah.
Do it for a year, and then we'll put you on a training contract if you get the required score.
Yeah.
So I spent a year driving to and from the what's now the University of Hertfordshire,
Yeah.
Poly back then, and scraped a merit, because what I
Yeah.
was discovering then was I'm very capable at doing, not so good at knuckling down, studying and completing pieces of work.
Okay.
So I can imagine many of the people that you speak to might be more that way inclined. Give me the job to do,
Yeah.
the gun to read. And I joined them and spent 4 years working in an accountancy practice, taking my
Oh.
professional exams. Took me 2 attempts to get through the first one because there were 2.
Yeah.
Again, it was law that I wasn't particularly keen on.
Yeah.
Also reading. So got through that part, but in the middle of my training contract, I stood in for somebody playing indoor football and tore my knee quite badly.
Yeah.
That put me out of work. They all paid, but had to be at home
Yeah.
for about 3 months.
Oh wow.
And that kind of knocked the mind. And
Yeah.
how am I going to get back on and try and catch up with the others?
Yeah.
But got back to work, by which time I'm training graduates that are coming in 1,
Yeah.
2 years after me, being paid less than them, but that's the chance you take.
Yeah.
And got a bit further towards the end of the training contract and did the knee again. It wasn't properly repaired.
Oh no.
And that really hurt because I had to give up my 2 favourite things, which were martial arts and drumming, because I was in a band at the time.
Yeah.
So playing in the evenings and working in the day.
Yeah.
And that shattered my confidence at that point. And I had a stab at the final exams, and then I thought, I can't do it.
Mm.
The training partner took me aside very nicely and he said, look, we're not going to extend your training contract. Really sorry. It's been great to have you here because I know you can do the job, but you haven't got the certificates that are going to be required. Good luck. So I find myself wandering down Watford High Street, wondering what I'm going to do next.
And out of interest, so as you say, you had a training contract and you were doing the job.
Yep.
And was it that the certificates or certification was necessary from a legislative sort of point of view, or was it just what the firm preferred to have?
It might be a combination, but to work in a chartered practice, you need to have your chartered accountancy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that allow me to actually sign off audits.
Ah.
That's absolutely mandatory. No, I could do the job till the cows came home. It was, and I was specialised in putting pieces back together again, what we used to call bin bag jobs.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because I remember when we sort of spoke just before the podcast, and so I've got this image of someone coming in with a bin liner full of receipts and just shaking them out.
Someone in the trades, they've managed to cobble together as much as they've got, statements and checkbook stubs.
Yeah,
There it goes, brick dust and all on your desk
yeah.
with a pad, make a set of accounts. And I love
Yeah, see, for me, I'm just like, oh, it actually makes me feel a little bit panicky. But for you, you've got your jigsaw going on.
that.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think this was becoming a theme. It was
yeah,
taking something that wasn't quite right and
yeah.
remolding it, fitting it back together to make something right, a fixer. And it might even go back to when I was working for my dad and putting hoovers back together and fixing washing. So it might be
Yeah,
a running thing.
yeah,
So I left there and I did a bit of labour for a few days.
yeah.
I did the most bizarre corporation tax return for quite a big company when I was not very good at them, but
Hmm.
purely by relying on old contacts that I'd had in tax.
Yeah,
And got through that. And the people I did the tax return for were a recruitment firm that put me in touch with a small IT business based near Watford.
yeah,
And they said they're looking for someone. Sorry, I got my story around the wrong way. The first step was they introduced me to someone in the railway network during privatisation.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Lose nearly 2 years there very quickly. So I went to the interview and said, what is it they're after? Well, an assistant to the financial accountants.
yeah,
Right, yep, can do that. So they've been broken away from the main railway network. They've got to do
yeah.
all their own processes. They've got to split out their own systems.
Mm.
Massive change, which a lot of people might remember from the early 90s.
Yeah.
And it was bizarre because there were people with no experience in accounting, various other functions being brought into a head office,
Mm.
come out of the booking offices to do this work now because it had to become a business, if you like.
Yeah.
And it was quite strange. So I found myself going from devising and implementing anything from just reconciliations that they didn't have through to some spreadsheet-based systems that really got me fully into Excel.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And then I ended up as a treasury manager.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how they just seemed to, I said yes. If an opportunity came up, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
And there's a fantastic lady that I'd like to pay homage to. I won't mention her name to embarrass her, but she gave me the opportunity.
Yeah.
Matt, you can do it. Don't worry about what's on your CV. You can do it.
Yeah.
And I was given the task of taking 2 manual cash offices in 2 locations that were at the risk of being burgled
Yeah.
every now and then or smashed up with a JCB,
Yeah.
analyze them, come up with a computer software program. So
Yeah.
we could do all of the passenger accounting for about 85 stations.
Wow.
Just before that, I'd had to then manage the cash collection of these 85
Yeah.
stations with like a Securitas kind of arrangement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Down and I pause. How am I doing this? How have I ended up here? I
Yeah.
don't know any of this, but we did it. And I was 25 at the time, and I was suddenly involved with redundancy programs, the unions, negotiation over working time,
Yeah.
computerization, retraining the staff,
Yeah.
and it was a real just deep end. And
Yeah. In
so
your mid-20s. Wow.
yeah, and at the same time, I was still in the band.
Okay. Yeah.
I was
You got to tell us what the band was called. I need to know.
The first band was called The Unknown.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This band was called Wicca, WICCA. And
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, so we played for about 10 years, I think it was. So it was
Oh.
great. But yeah, I was still basically a drummer
Yeah.
doing accountants. And it was actually my guitarist who say, You're not an accountant, mate, you're a drummer that knows how to do maths. And it was like, oh, cheers, mate.
Yeah.
So we got to the end of 2 years and done all the centralisation work, and then another wave of redundancies was coming, and I was taken aside and said, "Look, we're going to have to lose a few of your team to keep you on."
Mm.
And I said, "I can't do that. I said, I can't do that because the load on is just going to be too much." So I chose to take voluntary at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I then go to an IT firm.
Yeah.
So same people I'd spoken to 2 years prior.
Yeah.
And it's what I very affectionately call the Failed Accountants Club.
Okay.
We were a group of accountants, those on the consultancy side anyway, that would
Yeah.
implement systems, ERP,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
CRM, and any other 3-letter acronym I can think of.
Yeah.
systems, manufacturing, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The owner took me aside, he trained me all up on payroll software.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to take all of your accounting experience and we funnel it into the systems.
Yeah.
So the finance director is going to want to buy an account system from an accountant that
Yeah.
knows to implement it and understands the business.
Yeah.
But it was broader than that because it was training, it was a lot of travel, it was design work on anything from templates to screens, interfaces.
Yeah.
So it got the creative side of me back out, which
Yeah.
was great. And I love training people. I love going to people's businesses, finding out how they worked, how I could hopefully make their working lives better, improve
Yeah.
processes. And I must have seen over 7 years about, I don't know, 100 different companies, I suppose.
Yeah.
From
Wow.
South Coast up to Edinburgh and beyond.
Yeah.
And it was very rewarding. The
Mm.
company was only going to get to a certain size, and I decided that I should probably move on. And there was one of our customers, I spoke to their company secretary, and she said, would you, if you're thinking of leaving, fancy joining our team? We need a financial controller. I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
Doing the books for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And me being me, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, okay.
And I had an interview with their accountant on the phone, and he said, right, talk me through your qualifications. I was, oh no. So I talked him through the experience. And again, it's the second great lady in my career that has said, no, we want Matt. So I joined them as a financial controller with a team of 6.
Yeah.
Who were affectionately called admin by most of the business, even though they were doing accounts works. But it was just one of those, hello admin. And I thought,
and yet they know, like, they know things about the business that other people do not. They're very powerful, very powerful.
And strangely, we were situated in the middle of an open office, and everything goes through accounts, everything goes through finance. And I thought, I'm going to elevate the team. They're the finance team. They're not admin.
Yeah.
They deal with quite a lot.
Yeah.
A few weeks in, our second child was born, and they said, right, we're doing an acquisition. It's kind of been in the offing again. I had another cold moment.
Yeah.
Right into my head. Said, have you done acquisitions before? I said, no. I said, right, well, we've got one. It's burning hot. It's a place up in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
And you need to lead on the corporate finance side of things, negotiate with the banks about funding behind it, carry out the due diligence with our external accountants, and we've got to land it, within a few months.
Yeah.
So then I learned fairly fast, and just fortunately, the next thing I'm in rooms discussing financial structures with 2 or 3 lenders.
Yeah. And
we tied it up. We did the visits to and from the office, and lots of due diligence work. And completed the acquisition, which added about another third onto the size of the company.
Yeah.
And then I've got a team up in Yorkshire as well as one down in the south.
Yeah.
And so it continues from financial controller to head of finance, where I was on the management team.
Yeah.
And with the owners of the business, all of whom, similar to me, had not gone down a university route.
And what do you think that kind of, is there anything about that you feel might have been sort of striking or advantageous in the way that you operated or how you work with others?
I think from a lot of the entrepreneurs and business owners that I've met, and I'll go back to that IT company, and it's not that all entrepreneurs come from a certain background, very, very mixed, but there was a spark. There's something, not out of adversity, but I'm going to do well, regardless. And it might not agree with the education system. The number of brilliant engineers or sales guys or technical people that haven't gone down that route, but they're brain wired in such a way that they see opportunities and they can go for them.
Yeah.
Certainly not one size fits all, but it was just coincidental that the guys I was working for, again, qualifications are fine, but what do you like at doing the job? Can you do this, this, and this?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is what a lot of employers are saying right now. I think we see it a lot with the news where
we do.
Sometimes employees expect too much. They say, well, I'm getting a grad because they can come and just do it. And you're like, no, you need someone that I
No,
do the job.
you know, what we affectionately called DBC, or dustbin criteria, when we're pouring through CVs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, because you
yeah,
might have so many.
yeah, yeah.
And one turning point, I think, was we did an apprenticeship program, trying to take on 6 apprentices for a period of 3 years, one cohort every year. And it was interesting seeing these young guys coming in that weren't going down the degree route.
Mm,
And again, a real mixed bag. You could spot those kids that, no, school is not for me, or higher education or further education not for me.
mm,
I'll be very capable at working in technology.
mm.
And that was an interesting
Yeah.
observation to go through.
Mm.
So it was going fantastic, and then became finance director on the main board, and
Yeah,
company was then, or the main shareholders were looking to sell.
yeah.
Another big task. Have you sold a business before? No. Can you help do it?
Yeah,
Well, add it to the list.
yeah.
That was a right old roller coaster. It really was, from
Mm.
potential private equity firms to a management buyout, or MBO, or MBI, management buy-in, with
Yes,
different terms to get used to.
yeah.
And again, dealing with other people on the management team on how the shareholdings would work, and it got very
Mm.
contentious because it's money, and it's
Mm.
especially for the owners. This is
Yes,
it, and
yeah,
it's a big deal.
yeah,
We got there in the end, and
yeah.
ironically got bought out by a Yorkshireman.
Right.
And
Okay.
several years ago, we bought a company in
The
Yorkshire.
company in Yorkshire. And how did you, because you said, you've been asked, have you ever done an acquisition? No, but I can learn. Have you ever sold a business? I said, no, but I can learn. So, who did you sort of lean on for advice? Where did you go to?
Question.
Mm,
Not many people. I think if
mm,
you had my parents sat here, they might say that I've never really asked for help.
mm.
Always wanted to find my own way.
Yeah.
And right through, even to today, I do lean on, my team a bit. But if there's
Mm,
something that I think I need to find the answer to this, I'm going to find it out. And one thing I always like to put in the school curriculum is not for kids to know stuff, it's to know
yeah.
how to find the answers.
Yes. And
Sense.
yeah, yeah. And not to think, ours were told Wikipedia is not the truth.
Yeah, I don't rely on one source. Yeah,
Yeah, don't rely on one. In fact, that would be fairer.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So you've got a real problem solving kind of nature.
It goes back to the jigsaws and the incomplete
Yeah,
work, or bin bags,
yeah,
hoovers and
yeah,
washing machines,
yeah,
and even like the system problems in the IT company. And it's, for our previous chat, it got the brain whirring, thinking about what am I.
yeah.
Regardless of degree, it would have been fantastic. I would have loved it. Didn't quite happen. There's a bit I haven't mentioned, which is the MBA.
Ah, yes.
God, the MBA. So 2015, I had a chat with a very good mentor of mine, and he'll
Yeah,
know this because he was in the external accounting firm that I leaned on very heavily at
yeah.
my job as a finance director. Great friend. And he said to me, Matt, he says, if the business sells, you could be in trouble. He says,
Right.
you're not a fully qualified accountant. You're not a
Okay.
chartered secretary. You could be left high and dry, or you'd be
Right.
scratching around for jobs.
Yeah.
That did scare me.
Mm.
Long story short, applied to Hearts Uni for an MBA, an executive MBA.
Yeah.
I thought I could do this. I know most of this stuff
Mm.
anyway, I think, but there's going to be a whole layer that's going to fill so many gaps in my knowledge. And I got a scholarship with a wonderful MBA director there.
Mm.
And she said to me, so we get you, we get your why you want to do this,
Mm.
which is more for yourself than necessarily career progression, which is why
Yeah.
you might do an MBA. But it was hard. 3 children.
Yeah.
Work-life balance was all over the shop. Trying to fit in study in that awkward triangle was just very,
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah.
I loved going there on the weekends because you'd have to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
back to work on the Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very obvious of people that could do it. They seemed to just take it in their stride. Many of them graduates who had been through that process, that understood about
Yeah.
research, putting these things together. And I did feel, had imposter syndrome at that point. I felt out of my depth, even though in every class I'd contribute. I was teaching
Yeah.
about experiences in business.
Yeah.
Lots of the people there were from public sector, so it's a good insight for them.
Yeah.
And I had, was it 2 attempts that they let me rest and go back in, dealing with some family stuff. So in the end, and it was only in about a year ago, I had to say, I'm not going to complete it. I
Yeah.
need to reprioritize family in particular, and focus on work and the home. And it was a very upsetting day, I won't lie. And I finally said, I can't do it. But that's me finally admitting that I need to go and do the job.
Yeah.
Go and do the job, earn the money. I'm perfectly okay with my current career, current job. It's great. But it was something I wanted to do just for me.
Yeah.
But hurdles get in the way, whether it was the knee back then. And for me, I said, am I making excuses for me not being able to finish these things? And maybe I am, but maybe I shouldn't kid myself that I'm not going to be that academic.
And did you think, like you say, you'd had an opinion offered to you that was you probably need an MBA? What have you kind of come out of that process thinking? Does it actually matter? Was it what you really wanted?
I'll tell you what, I've got I could have a lovely thing on the wall
Yeah.
I could look at and some letters after my name. The value I got out of it was huge. The people that I mixed with and I learnt of, the material that we were given, the tasks, it was great. Even if I don't come out with a piece of paper qualification at the end, that experience taught me so much to then take back into my sector.
Yeah.
Whether it was sort of insight into people management, strategy in particular,
Yeah.
management theory, not necessarily the financials, marketing, and a better appreciation of that. So it was great, really good experience. I just don't have the badge at the end of it. But.
Yeah. And what do you think has kind of held you in good stead throughout your career? And actually, one thing that we did speak about previously was, I think, did you say there'd been a process where you feel that going through all of this, you've understood where your kind of niche is and where you kind of belong and can add the most value?
Very much so. It took a long time,
Yeah.
but it was a series of hurdles. And I don't know where it stems from. It must be a family trait because my parents are self-employed.
Yeah.
We know a whole ton of self-employed people. We don't know many corporate types, if that's
Yeah.
so. That was in our bones. That you find your way, regardless of what happens. And that's been a core. That there've been some strife along the way, but you don't give up, and you say yes to opportunities when they arise. Don't necessarily doubt whether you can do something. If a person has faith in you, and that took me a long time to realise, if they have faith in you, then you can do it.
Yeah.
Because often it's the other person that's asking you can see something that you can't.
Yeah.
That's gone deep, isn't it? But do you
Well,
know?
yeah, but I think that is like a little bit of I don't know, magic. But I think it is that sense of, because lots of people will say, like you said, have you ever done an acquisition before? And some people, like you said, would go, no, I haven't, and I'm afraid. Or you say, no, I haven't, but I can learn. But rarely do we think that the reason you're being asked that question is because someone actually sees that you could do it, or they would like you to do that.
And that's something I've taken from all the years when I recruit, or when I'm in post with a team that might lack in confidence. It's that you can do it. If I can see that they can do it, it's just keep encouraging them, because I had that faith put in me by multiple people in multiple roles,
Yeah.
I think, and you said about who did I lean on, I suppose it was each of those managers and colleagues that were pleased with what you did and how you did it.
Yeah.
So the CV becomes not that bottom section where you list out, got these certificates. It's all the stuff above. It's all that experience that you build up.
Mm.
So all I probably suggest to, I'll say the youngsters today is, yeah, just don't give up. Not say it doesn't matter, but people see value in others,
Yeah.
and you've got to have faith in other people, I think, and believe them.
Yeah. And as you say, you're in a position where you're a finance director, which a lot of people might think that that career path is not open to them if they haven't gone to uni or done certain qualifications. So that in itself, I think, is really interesting. Does it, the fact that you said you aren't a chartered accountant, is that right?
Yeah,
Does that, so how does that shape the sort of role that you do?
it massively limits it if you want to go above a certain level.
Yeah,
My You were saying about my niche. My niche is in the SME, SMB space,
yeah,
to own and manage businesses, because that's my past.
yeah,
That's what I get, and that's what I love being involved in.
yeah.
I'm never going to go corporate for two reasons. One, I probably won't be allowed in. Two, don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't want to be just someone in a box on a huge org chart. Just not
yeah,
okay. So it has restricted various avenues. And when we'd sold the last business and I was freelancing for a while, that got quite nerve wracking, because every job application, you know how LinkedIn works, so you've got 90% of the skills,
yeah,
but you lack 10% of the qualification. So
yeah.
that various avenues were being chopped away.
Mm,
I thought, well, do I move across to an ops director or some other
mm,
facet, commercial director?
mm.
No, I'm a finance director. That's what I deal with.
Yeah,
But with a huge bend towards technology. And
yes,
and it's that, I think, the technology side of it that's really held me in good stead.
yeah,
Because I'm a 51-year-old nerd that loves loves training people how to use systems and
yeah.
improve their work experience. That's, again, makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's really interesting to hear, like you say, you've got that skill set, which is you um, had, you were an accountant who could sell accounting systems, and people would want to buy them from you because you had the relevant experience of doing the job. And I keep coming back to that puzzle thing sort of in my mind, where you've understood, well, these are my skills, these are the kind of people I want to work with, these are the sort of businesses that I am best able to support, this is where I don't want to work. So you've kind of put it all together and gone, well, yeah, that makes the picture of where I fit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And a long journey to find out. And I
Yeah.
think I might have mentioned last time we spoke, one of the big, got to be corporate now, like takeaways from the
Mm,
MBA was when we were doing strategy.
mm,
And we did quite a long piece on a guy called Michael Porter and a guy called Henry Mintzberg and their approach to strategies. And
yeah.
Porter being very analytical, built lots of nice models, including squares and triangles. So this is how strategy works.
Mm,
And Henry Mintzberg's kind of said, no, that's rubbish. It's all emergent. So
right.
one thing fails, you go that direction. So your picture is this.
Yeah.
It's like hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I said, that's life. That's real. I could draw you a nice picture about how we would like things to be,
yeah.
but that's not how it works. And like the all charts don't work in straight lines. There's all sorts of crossovers and God knows what.
Yeah, well, I'll put a link to that study
Yeah,
in the show notes. And um, I suppose as a final question, and it depends whether you talk about this, what's kind of next? Where do you think life might take you? Have you got out on the road, reforming Wicker?
God knows. Oh yes, well, we've tried that. Several of us have moved away to different areas, but we're well overdue a catch up, especially given the whole last 2 years where,
Yeah.
and we moved house just before lockdown,
Yeah.
for schooling and God knows what else. So that's, yeah, I want to go back and revisit some of my past. As
Yeah.
for working, I'm very happy where I am.
Yeah.
I try, as you've probably gathered now, I don't make a plan.
Mm.
I'm not going to plan next year after. We'll see how it
No.
goes.
Yeah.
And the main thing is keeping the kit bag fresh, up to date,
Yeah.
the skills, and especially being in technology, it's advantageous because I have to keep up.
Yeah.
Well, keep up with the kids for one thing, but I have to keep up in my career.
Yeah.
Accounts will never go out of date. It's still going to have to be done. Technology is not going to disappear. It still needs to work. So
Yeah.
kind of protected myself, I think, future-proof
Yeah.
to an extent. But no, I'm not planning what I'm going to do in 5 years' time or 10 years' time. I think
No.
I'm on my third midlife crisis now. So finally got the two-seater roof down so we can fly around the lanes, my wife and I.
Yeah.
Kids are getting,
Love it.
that's what I plan to do is, yeah, smell the roses a bit more,
Yeah.
but serve my company that I work for well and my team, without whom I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah. Brilliant. Love it. Well, thank you for sort of offering me up some of your time today and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Tony.